In this episode of the Tech John, we discuss Disney and YouTube not coming to an agreement, Apple OS 26.1 updates, a Tubi TV exec telling creators to stop blaming the algorithm, and TikTok Awards nominees have been announced. We've got all this and more for you in episode 201 of the Tech John from Columbus, Ohio. I'm your host, Robb Dunewood.
And coming out of Philly, it's your girl Tech Life Steph.
And out of Atlanta, this is Terrance Gaines, aka Brother Tech, aka Toilet Master. I was out last week because I was doing some home renovations that could not wait until to the show. So that was the floors. Now the floors are done. Now it's time to put everything back, including the toilet. And we pretty much disassembled the whole toilet, cleaned it all off, had to put all the hardware back in, had to put all the stuff on the bottom of the toilet, including that nasty wax that any of my home improvement people know what it is about, the toilet wax, and the actual flange that connects the toilet to the floor. So I had to do all that. So if anything else comes up in the house that has anything to do with toilets, I'm your man, unfortunately.
Well, y'all, I'm hopefully through these technical issues that I've been having, but we gonna see. Internet is not being my best friend today.
Cooperating.
But let's go ahead and try to jump into some of these tech stories. And I swear, none of our stories was about my internet company. So I don't know why they even acting like this. They tripping right now. But I did want to talk about YouTube TV and Disney, because this is something that I don't think I've seen this before, to where the agreement has gone sour and they have not gotten a new agreement in time for football games to be watched. So for those who are wondering what I'm talking about, Disney and YouTube, their carriage agreement came to an end, I want to say last Thursday night at 11:59, and they have not been able to come up with a new one. So they missed all kind of football games on Saturday with ESPN and ABC, and or Monday Night Football is going to be played tonight, but it won't be seen by people who have YouTube TV. So I kind of want to get your thoughts on what do you think is going on between these two companies, and are they going to get it worked out, or are we seeing a kind of a changing of the guard of you just don't have to have certain networks if you don't want them?
Well, I think that so with YouTube, let me, full disclosure, I have YouTube TV, and ESPN, ABC, all those shows are gone. Luckily, I don't care. But
Right.
for those people who do care, I think the idea is if you pick a streaming service, or similar to how we picked a cable package, the stations and the channels that they offer as the option that you choose, you just expect them to be there because all the little details have been worked out prior to you signing and joining and picking a subscription, right? With this, with streaming, the way streaming is now, everything is everywhere. Studios and networks are in between building their own streaming platforms and licensing their shows and TV stuff to the YouTube TVs of the world and whatever else, this comparative Hulus of the world and all these other that offer live TV. But the thing is so fluid because, again, they're trying to make money both ways. You know, ABC, for example, they've got their own apps, ABC app, ESPN Plus app, Disney app that they want you to go to, but also they've included them in YouTube TV as part of a channel, and they're kind of like in between. So if YouTube TV, I mean, Google was like, yeah, we don't like this arrangement. Disney was like, I mean, we don't care that much because we got our apps. You know, when before it was like, well, nobody's going to see this content if it's not on TV. So we got to get their agreements together. Now they're kind of like, they can go see it, watch it someplace else. So I think that's why it's not so fast that they're trying to come to a solution, because everything is everywhere already. So it's like, we ain't really tripping.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with that. Just everything everywhere all at once, basically. I think we just are in a soup, if you will, of content and channels and services and subscriptions, and I think we've reached a saturation point that makes it impossible for I think a platform like a YouTube TV to make any demands, because to Terrence's point, you can find this content in 10 other different places. So why do I need to negotiate with you if I'm the content holder and I'm the one responsible for broadcasting these games or this content or whatever, y'all kind of got to come to me. And I think this is the last sort of bastion, if you will. Live sports and live television is the last place where broadcasters and studios have any sort of power at all, because the rest of it is just all content. Like, to Terrence's point, everybody makes their own content. Netflix has their own studio, Amazon has their own studio. Everybody, there's content for days.
Mhm.
You'll never get rid of, you'll never get exhausted of how much stuff is out there. But live television and live sports in particular is the one place where those people who broadcast that and have paid the NFL for the rights to broadcast that have any sort of power. So, that seems to be what is happening right now, is they're flexing that last bit of muscle that they have.
Mhm.
I cut the cord. It's been years now. And one of the reasons that I decided to go with the internet and get rid of my regular cable subscription is because, number one, I just wasn't watching cable like that. I had, I don't know, probably, 80 to 100 channels, and I just wasn't watching them. The only thing that I watched the channels regularly for were like local news. If there was a TV show on at a particular time that I wanted to watch, I might tune into it, but definitely for sports. So I found myself paying for the cable, but I also wanted Netflix. And then I wanted, I think it was Hulu that had some other stuff in addition to just the TV stuff. It was like, there's movies here. So I got those two things. And I was like, I don't think I need to have cable anymore. As long as I have something that's going to give me local channels, live sports, I can go out here and say, I just want Netflix, or I just want Apple TV, or I just want now Paramount and now Peacock and all these other services. I'll just go get those things a la carte. But where I am today is that those things a la carte and individual, they cost more than what cable costs, and
Right.
I still don't find myself watching all that much content. So when I'm thinking about YouTube, I have right now Hulu TV with with sports and all that kind of stuff. And eventually, it's going to switch over to Disney. But if I were a YouTube TV subscriber, the one reason I have you is so that I can watch local news, ABC, CBS, NBC, Fox, and I can also watch ESPN and sports channels. So if I can't watch Saturday football, college football, and I can't watch Monday Night Football, I don't know that I need YouTube TV as a service much longer. So I'm just wondering. I don't know who's in the right or who's in the wrong here. It's probably a little bit of both, but it just seems from a power standpoint like Disney holds all the cards, because Disney's saying, "Listen, we have a whole streaming service. You can
Hmm.
watch everything you get on YouTube TV. You can come over to Disney and you can get that same stuff over here. But we're just not going to devalue our content so technically our competitor can have our content on their platform. They've got to pay for it. What we feel the content is worth. And it used to be a time to where if I was a YouTube TV subscriber, I would have been more upset with ABC, or I guess in this case, I would be more upset with Disney. But now I'm like, I don't know, because I can just as easily go get Hulu or go get Disney or go get ESPN app or go get these other things and get this content. So I'm kind of wondering, are we to the point to where we did the cord cutting back in the day? Now, do we have to do the cable, not cable, do we have to do the streaming subscription cutting? Because there's just so many
Yes.
of them, because I've got literally all of them
And
and they
nobody's
add up.
watching all the stuff on all these
None of
channels.
it.
It's insane. Like, it's gotten to be way too much. And to your point, you stack 4 or 5 different streaming services together, you still paying the same as you would have been paying for cable. It's insane. It's just way too much content. And I have to think that people are fatigued and overwhelmed with just options. It's too many options.
No, I agree. And just in general, it's like you said, too much content. Maybe people will stop like you said, cutting streaming, right now I do YouTube TV, Netflix, and Apple TV Plus. Like if you can't find it on that, then I don't need to
It's
watch it.
probably not worth watching.
Go ahead.
No, finish.
Now I was gonna say when before it would be like, all right, what's coming on? What's that? Let me go get it. Now it's just like if I ain't got it, sorry. And I think
Right.
most people are warming up to that too. And on top of that, when you add all the social media content, that seems to take place of a lot of people's daily streaming, if you will, if they're streaming it on their phone. So it's kind of like I don't need regular TV. My favorite creators are doing everything I need them to do.
And low key, I'm getting an antenna. Because I actually, asked my mother to write down, because we still have cable and plus a whole bunch of streaming services and just paying way too much money for all of this stuff. So I was like, write down the channels you actually watch, and we'll figure out how to put a plan together around that. And quiet as kept, an antenna would get us most of the stuff, like most of the, and we watch, and I know we're going to talk about Pluto TV in the follow up to this. We watch a ton of Pluto, which is free, and a lot of other free things. And then there's a few different streaming services that she actually likes that she pays for. So we about to cut this cable. I may even downgrade my internet. Like the cost of Verizon is too damn high right now. So I'm gonna see what I can do with this antenna. I did some research on some pretty good, antennas, and we can get our local ABC, NBC, Fox. That's all we need. That's literally all we need.
So the three of us all live in fairly large cities. So I am certain that in Atlanta and in Philadelphia, as well as Columbus, Ohio, a HD TV antenna will get you not just your networks. It'll get you dozens,
Lots of
probably
stuff.
25 to 35 channels or more. Steph, for you in Philly, because you might actually be able to pick up stuff from New York too. So it might even get more for you just because you've got an incredibly, you got the biggest city that's just a few hours away from you.
And what people are doing with those antennas, and what people are going to start doing is getting the for real antennas on their house. When before you could go right now, you can go into Best Buy, you can go into Home Depot, you can get like the little square one that you kind of put on your wall. And then that you got to trust that the radio signal is going to come through your house and hit the antenna in your house. Now people are going to start going back. There's a circle. They're going to go back to putting their
sticking the
rabbit
joints
ears
on them
on top of the
on
TV.
or the ones on
On the
the
house. Yes.
on the
Yeah.
roof.
Yeah, on the roof, just to get them some regular television, and then everything else is social media. And then now the TV company's gonna be like, oh, and they're gonna figure out something else.
So, Steph, since this is something you're thinking about, there is a device I stuck in it. It's called a Tableau. And what a Tableau is a streaming media box for HD antennas.
Okay.
So think of a TiVo, but it's free. You go spend $100 to $170 depending on which one you get. You stick this in your house anywhere, and now you just put apps on your Roku, on your Apple TV, on your Google TV. You just put apps on your TV, and you're now streaming the over-the-air channels to your televisions in the same way you would put Netflix on, app on those TVs, or put an Apple TV app on those TVs and watch the content there. You now can watch the content that is coming over the air in HD. Now, you do have the downsides of it being over there HD. They're stuttering and stuff like that. So you just can't control that. That just happens with those signals. But it's pretty good. My mom actually has one, and I'm probably going to upgrade her to the 4th gen, which they say is a lot better. It's a lot more stable than the one she has, because I got her one a few years back. But she's like, I don't really watch TV, so why do I have cable? No one's here to watch it, so I just don't need it. I just need to have regular news. And then her internet, she says, I don't mind watching the old TV with commercials on it. She is the queen of watching fast. She's like,
everything I watch is, I rarely watch. I won't say rarely, because I do watch some, like I'll pop on Netflix and Prime and all that stuff on like the weekends when I'm just like laying around and bored and I want to watch something different. But it's I usually typically just watch regular TV. I mean, well, I won't say regular TV. I watch cable. So I do watch a lot of like HGTV, but I also watch a lot of Dabble, which is a free channel. And then like all of my normal local channels. So I'm pretty sure I can get away with, and I'm looking at this Tableau right now. I pull it up. This looks like this could be a good. Now, does this actually do this has the antenna?
No.
Well, so like for $99, I think you just get the Tableau. For like 129 or 139.99, you'll get the little antenna that Terrance was talking about, that you either stick it on your wall or
Right.
preferably stick it on a window somewhere. Because the cool thing about the Tableau, it doesn't have to sit anywhere near your TV. It just has to be somewhere where it's going to get your internet connection, and then you put it in the best place to face the antennas that are facing you. Because with HD, if you're doing it the best way, you literally are facing your antenna at the TV station that is sending you the signal.
Mhm.
So because it is it's omnidirectional, but it's still directional within that omnidirectional. So wherever it makes best sense to put it is the best place to put it, based off of where you're going to get the most channels and the best reception. And then everything else is being streamed from that box to your televisions. I think you can stream 2 different TVs simultaneously.
Yeah, 2-tuner.
Mhm.
Ain't that a blast from the past? People are going like 2-tuner cable boxes, antennas, things. We are slowly but surely
Listen,
circling the block.
I'm listen, everything old is new again, and I like, because I really I gotta figure out how to cut some of these costs, because I'm just paying way too much money
We all are.
between Verizon and then the whole host of streaming channels that we have. It's just insane. It's insane, and something got to give. So yeah.
But the fast channels, the free ad supported streaming television, and we've talked about this on this show probably a couple of times. This content is great. It's not like you're watching Leave It to Beaver and Who Loves Lucy. If you want to watch that, you can. That content is definitely there, but you're watching TV shows that literally are out now. You're
Mhm.
watching movies that were playing in movie theaters, maybe not in 2025, but definitely there are movies on on Tubi, like Pluto, that Samsung TV, they have actual content for movies that has just come out like in the last 2 or 3 years. And there is tons of content. Now, people are saying, well, you got to
Tons of
watch
content.
ads. You know what?
I don't care about that.
Particularly for like a lot of the TV shows that you be watching, they are already cut to have ads in them.
Mhm.
Most TV that is coming over terrestrial television, ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox, those kind of television shows, they're already edited it for commercials. So I'm old enough to remember when everything you watched had commercials in it, and that's just how it was. It wasn't that you could go watch 40-minute show and have 0 commercials in it. So I don't mind the commercials when the television show is edited to have commercials in it.
But to make it even worse with these streaming services, their one thing was like, well, one of their selling models was like, no ads. Remember, you could pay $8 for Netflix
Uh-huh.
and get straight up Netflix.
Mhm.
Now they done spun the block and they're like, we're gonna offer ads now. And if you want to not see ads, you got to get this
Pay
extra
more,
tier.
right.
So it's
Mhm.
like, no.
Prime,
Uh,
you gotta watch these few ads before you have your uninterrupted, blah blah. It's like we're not getting away from ads. That's just
Mm-mm.
is what it is.
They make
So
too much money on them. They
right,
make too
right.
much money on them. It's not like they are putting these ads in here and taking a loss on it, trying to offer more content. It's like, no, we're putting these ads in here because those companies that are advertising, they pay us very, very, very well to
Yeah.
put their products in front of your eyeballs as often as if they possibly can. So I am a fan. We're going to talk about Tubi in the end of the show, but I don't even mind Tubi. There's good content on a lot of these platforms and doesn't cost you anything. So I'm just thinking, like, whenever I go to my mom's, it's like there's no cable TV and there's no Netflix. This is what she said. She look, all of y'all is grown. All of my grandchildren say, a couple that are right near my grandmother. Like she's, I've got some nieces and nephews in Atlanta that are young, but they ain't coming to grandma's house every day. But the ones who are there to be able to come by every day, all but one are grown. So she's like, look, if you want to watch Netflix, get Netflix, put it on your phone and stream it to whatever you want to when you come here. But I'm not going to buy Netflix to not watch it when you ain't here for 2 or 3 weeks at a time. And I was like, can't nobody explain, really have a problem with that. So my mom has an older version Tableau. We're going to upgrade her to a new one here for Christmas. But this stuff works great. And I'm just wondering, are we getting to a point to where people are going to start looking at this? Because for other reasons, we're not even talking about all the layoffs that happened last week in this episode, but there were a ton of them. Just across America, people are trying to figure out how can we save money here? How can we save money there? And getting rid of these expensive streaming services is definitely a way to do it, and a way to just not, just like somebody says, like when you're living like a caveman, if all you have is an HD antenna and you got to watch the stuff when it's actually being presented to you.
Oh, well,
that's still a thing if you want to do that.
Right. Oh,
But
well.
but yeah, something like a Tableau works pretty well if you do want to,
Now, the
record
question
some
is-
stuff with this 2 streamers built into it.
Now, the question is, are we as people going to turn off these streaming services or downgrade these streaming services, or pick 1 or 2 streaming services to send the message that things need to change? Or are we just going to go along and just figure out, well, I need this station because of this, and I need that station because of that, and I don't feel like trying to search through the internet or do something else. I want what I want, and if it's expensive, then I don't know, I have to figure out something else. Are we going to stop watching so much content? That's the question.
I can't talk for everybody, but the way that the way that my checking is connected to my savings and the savings is connected to my checking, I became what they call a serial churner a few years ago. So I will watch for example, let's say that something comes on a channel, and what they're doing now is not like where you get the whole series at once. You got to watch 8 weeks of programming to get the 8 story.
And that's the other point. Like the whole point of streaming was to be able to binge. Don't make me watch every week
and
wait for the episodes. Like, I can't understand that.
So, for example, if there is a streaming service that I'm trying to think of one, Apple TV is one. Apple TV, then no, right now I have Apple TV subscription because there's stuff that I'm actively watching on Apple TV right now. But when my shows are done, if I go more than a couple of weeks without watching something on Apple TV, I do this with Apple TV, I do it with Peacock, I do it with Paramount. If I go more than a couple of weeks without watching something, I just cancel it, because it's so easy to re-up and come back in if you decide you want to come back at some point later. They're more than happy to take your money from you again, but I'm more than happy to stop giving it to them when I'm not watching something. So when I am actively watching something, I will watch and pay, and when I'm not, I'll cancel and then just go through the hassle of having to resubscribe when there is something that I'm watching. Now, Netflix, I could do this if it weren't for the fact I watch an enormous amount of content on Netflix. There's always something I'm watching there. But the example would be when Stranger Things comes out. I will wait until Stranger Things comes out. All the episodes are on Netflix. Order Netflix, watch Stranger Things, get done. If there's nothing else immediately that I want to watch, cancel it. And then when something else comes back that I want to watch, I'd get it again. HBO is another one. There are shows that I want to watch on HBO. I get HBO. And then when I watch those shows, I cancel it.
I'm probably not doing that. I'm just going to decide what few services I actually need, and the rest of them just got to go. I'll just miss the rest of it. Like, I'm okay with, there's no FOMO when it comes to content for me anymore. I think there was a time where there maybe used to be. But even then, most of the shows that I was watching were on broadcast television. Like, there were good shows like Scandal and different stuff like that I would, must see TV, appointment watching, as they call it. But there's nothing that I'm like, I have to see this thing or this show or this, I don't do a ton of the reality shows anymore, so that's not an issue. So I think I can get by with an antenna, Netflix, and I'm getting Prime because I have a Prime membership, so I don't even really count that. And then maybe, I have Apple TV because I have Apple One, because I use all the stuff, the music, the news, the fitness. So I don't necessarily quote unquote count that one either. So there's honestly, there's really nothing else that I would need. So I can get rid of all it. tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm with you, Steph. It's like there's some things that come on on that one service that I love, and it's just like
I could
I don't love it
leave
enough.
it.
I don't
I
love
don't
it
love it
enough.
enough.
Yeah.
Yep, I don't love
I
it
don't.
enough. I can take it or leave it,
Mhm,
and I'm about to start leaving a whole lot of stuff. Seriously.
mhm.
So, and I'll leave you guys with this. Here's what's making becoming a serial churner easier for me. I order a lot of this stuff through my Amazon Prime Video account. So like if I want to see something on MGM, there's a show with the dude from Link from Oz. He flew the Nebuchadnezzar on the Matrix. I can never think of the bruh's name. He's been like in Best Man Holiday and Best Man with the dreads. I can never think of his name.
Oh, Harold Perrineau.
Him.
Mhm.
He's got a show that I like on there called From, I believe it's the name of it. I like that show. There's nothing else on that network that I watch. So I stack those up, watch it all on Prime. And then when I'm done, I just cancel and I'll come back again next season when that show comes back. And it's so easy to do because it's like I do look at my Amazon Prime bill and see I'm paying for this, I'm paying for this, I'm paying for this, I'm paying for that. Cancel, 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 cancel. It's just easy to
That
do.
was super
And it's,
smart of them too. Like literally
yeah.
all your other subscriptions are within
But most of them you
Amazon.
can do that too. YouTube
Mhm.
TV,
Yeah.
you can do that.
Apple TV, you can
Apple
do it.
TV, you can do it.
Yeah, that's true.
Apple was the original to where that's why they fighting now because companies don't want Apple to do it because they want to be able to get you themselves, But if I'm subscribing via my Apple
Mhm.
subscription, the external company can't get my information. So they're trying to fight to
Right.
give me to give people the option
And I
to
Right.
have to
sign
think,
up on it. Yeah.
do they have to pay Apple for that privilege as well, and Amazon?
Yes, if I subscribe to Netflix via my iCloud account, Netflix, Apple gets what is it, 30%?
30%.
Yeah, 30
Whew,
Apple
that's crazy.
Apple's getting 30% anytime that my monthly bill, if I'm paying $8 a month, every month I pay $8, Apple's getting 30% of that little
Mm,
$8 every so the companies are
boy,
like,
it's a
"Nah, man."
racket out here,
It
yo.
is.
It's straight up a racket.
But to Rob's point, you do it all through Apple. You see it all on the thing, and at one time I just click a button. It won't terminate your kit.
Unsubscribe or
Yep,
whatever, yeah.
until your date, whatever. It's just
Yeah.
like click, 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 click.
Well, y'all
Too many
use
options.
iPhones and Macs and all that kind of stuff. And I was telling Terrance a couple weeks ago, I actually have a Mac. I got a Mac Mini probably about 3 months ago. It is a purpose built machine for me. I'm using it basically to do a couple things. I can run Final Cut Pro on it, and I run Ecamm Live on it. But because it's a Mac, so I've got a Mac, and I need to go update my Mac as well. But Apple has released OS updates for I think it's 26.1 for pretty much everything. So we've got a whole list of stuff that we can go through here. And I know Terrance, you talked about this on Snob OS last week about what all is coming in Apple OS releases for 26.1.
Yeah, there is a long list, but nobody cares. The main thing that people care about in OS 26.1, specifically iOS and iPad OS and Mac OS 26.1, is the liquid glass. I'll call it the readability fix. And when 26 first came out, the main driver for Apple, the main selling point, is this liquid glass platform, have you? And to where like your options, your drop down menus, if you think of Safari, if you use Safari on an iPhone, think about the search bar. All of that had this glass look to it that was translucent, that according to Apple kept things in view while still giving you the option to have all these different options to where it's less obstructive, but at the same time you can see the options. People hated it, hated it, hated it, hated it. When iOS 26.1 came out, Apple was like, we're doing it. Thank you for the suggestions. We've tweaked it. We tweaked it. This is the finished product. People hated it, hated it, hated it. Now in 26.1, Apple has finally came out with this option to where users can now select a tinted version of the liquid glass design to reduce transparency and enhance contrast, addressing readability concerns. The readability concerns come from when the liquid glass options were apparent. the things behind it were kind of blurred, and I guess that got on people's nerves. Now Apple is offering an option. You can go with the original tinted glass, the liquid glass display where everything is translucent, or you can go with a tinted option to where the options are more in the forefront. And
Was the
there's
whole point of liquid glass just to say they did something? Like, who asked for that?
Yes, every year they have to have like a main feature or two that makes the whole OS the more attractive. And they'll pick a feature and every year they'll try something new. I can't remember what it was on iOS 18. I have to go back and look and see what the main driver for iOS 18 was, but this iOS 26 is liquid glass. That was the thing. And now people are like, we don't like it. And Apple was like, sure, you'll like it. And they're like, but we really don't like it. And Apple's like, all right, we'll change it. We'll give you the option to choose it. I like liquid glass, so I'm not going to change. But there are some people who were saying, "Is I can't. It's messing everything up. It's change. People didn't like change, so Apple's like, all right, fine. We'll give you the option to not change as much. You can't turn it off, but we'll give you this option to turn it down a little bit, basically." In addition to that, there was some other things, but like I said, that was the main thing with the 26.1, to where it's like giving people an option, which is surprising for Apple. Apple normally don't give people options. They're like, shut up and take it. Now they're like, all right, we see what you're coming from, so we'll give you that option.
Now, Terrance, is there any reason that anyone who has, an Apple device should not be upgrading to these like right now? Should they wait a little while, or is there pause for, maybe wait until another version comes out or something like that?
Unless you're looking for something specific, no. There's nothing else coming out or nothing else that will nothing that Apple has announced that we are waiting on, that we should wait on for iOS 26.2. So normally sometimes they'll announce, like last year, Apple announced a bunch of stuff and it was like, well, you got to wait on it. And we waited and waited and waited and they never did it. Like Siri, the whole Apple intelligence thing. Last year, Apple was like, oh, we're going to announce it, but you got to wait till the March, or you got to wait till the whatever the case may be. And then you'll get that. That's nothing like that for this year. It's like, this is what it is. We'll tweak it based on your feedback, but this is it.
Okay. So just to be clear, I am safe to call my parents who have iPhones, who basically went against the family because we're an Android family, except for my parents. They can go ahead and upgrade to this and should be fine.
Yeah. Oh, what were you concerned? Concerned what?
That I'm tech support for devices I don't have. So I guarantee you
that ain't gonna stop just because iOS 26 came out. They will still ask you.
But it's like, I just want to make sure. It's like, is there a reason I should say no, hold off on it, or go ahead and update it now? Because I will get a call. Now, I'm not going to say, hey, Dad, hey, Mom, you need to go upgrade these things. But I will get a call from my dad that says, hey, son, I just got this notification about some update to 26.1. Should I do it?
Mm-hmm.
And the answer should now be yes.
Yeah. No, it was just when iOS 26 came out. Because like I said, Apple, that was the selling point. Like last year, for example, I remember now, last year was Apple Intelligence. Apple's like, oh, we got this new, this and that and the third, whatever the case may be, but it's coming out later dates. Nothing like that this year.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So anything else of note, or is that the big stuff?
That was the big thing with iPad users. Some iPad users were complaining that their multitasking feature that they had grown accustomed to is gone. So Apple decided to give people the option. Again, a surprise. Apple's giving people options with your iPad OS multitasking. Before last year, before OS 26, you could literally take your finger and slide it from right to left of your screen, and that will reveal all of the multitasking screens that you had hidden behind the main screen. iOS 26 came out. They had this new version of snap into different windows and different sections. People was like, where'd my stuff go? And Apple was like, again, all right, we'll bring it back. So now Apple gives you the option to do slide over returns and this new Windows management. Like I said, it gives people the options to slide over and swipe through your different screens, or you can snap them to different windows and make them bigger and smaller, similar to like how widgets work. You can do iPad OS Windows management like you do widgets on like your home screen. So they give you both of those options. They didn't turn it on and then turn it back off. They turned it on and then kind of tweaked it, and it's like, all right, well, we'll bring back the old way. So now you got two options. Other than that, that's it. That's it.
Right. Well, y'all, there is a conference called Afrotech that actually it was last week in Houston. And Afrotech is put on by I think the parent company is Blavity. That's the company run by Morgan DeBond. And Afrotech, I think they had like 15,000 plus attendees to the conference, and just in Houston around things that were happening at Afrotech, they estimated there's about 30,000 folks that came into town for this conference. So one of these years, we actually try to get out there and cover Afrotech in person.
They should be inviting us out
They really
to talk podcasts, like Morgan, holla at your peoples. Like, what's going on?
might try to have to make that happen for next year or future year. But on the last day, there was a conversation that kind of caught my eye. So Tubi VP of Creator Partnerships, Kudzi Chikumbu, suggests that creators stop blaming the algorithm and start being more flexible. Now, Afrotech and everybody else wrote this so that it would be clickbaitable. It is like, what is that about? It's making me click on it. So before I even go to all the negatives that you could have with that statement, let me just say it was a larger conversation where he was talking about creators and media and how media is shifting from pictures to video, and from short form to long form. And he's saying you can't complain about the algorithm not putting people who are taking pictures of stuff that is not getting the same type of reach that somebody's actually creating vertical video or long form video. So that's the longer conversation. But I do still kind of say, I don't know that I feel that great about that sentiment for a couple of reasons. This VP works for Tubi. Tubi is owned by Rupert Murdoch. Rupert Murdoch also owns Fox. And if you think about what Fox was before Fox and Fox News, what they are now, back in the day, Fox started off catering to Black folks. You had in Living Color, you had Martin, you had in Living Single, you had New York Undercover. You had a lot of shows that catered to Black folks, and they built that network up, and they built it up, and they built it up on Black folks. It seems like this is a recurring thing in America, but they did that, and then it went hard right. It just went something completely different. So I kind of have concerns about Tubi being one of the biggest fast streamers out there. There's got enormous amounts of content created by Black folks on that platform. But I just wonder will you see the same thing that happened with Fox kind of happen with Tubi? So when I hear this person say you kind of have to just stop blaming the algorithm, be more flexible, get on board with what the algorithm is suggesting, just doesn't make me feel great.
I mean, I think both things can be true. All of the stuff you just said can be problematic, but I don't necessarily think he's wrong either. I think people need to understand what it means to be a creator in 2025. Like, you can't just post pictures of your sandwich and think you're going to build a following that's going to pay you and make it so that you can quit your job. I think when people think about the idea of being a creator, they ultimately want to quit their jobs and do this full time and make some money.
Quit.
And
they already quit.
Right. And now they're wondering why they're not making any money and why nobody, because you do have to be responsive to the platform, number one, and to your audience's taste and to what's popular. So there's like a whole bunch of different things going on at once that you have to try to sort of feed into, but it's not trivial. And I think that's the part that people miss. They think, oh, I just want to be a creator because you think you're just so interesting, or whatever, that whatever you put out there, you're going to find somebody that wants to watch it, and you might, but it might not be a million people that you want as followers. You have to approach this business like a business. And I think that's probably, I didn't hear what this person's keynote or fireside or whatever, but I think that goes to the heart of what he may have been trying to say is facts over feelings. You know what I mean? Like, look at the
Yes.
data, look at what's working, go with what's working. If a certain, because we see it all the time, especially between Instagram and TikTok, they're always pushing new features. Like, Adam Mosseri gets on Instagram himself every week and tells you, hey, we got a new thing here that we're trying, and we're going to be pushing this content out more than other content.
Right.
So if you're not the creator that wants to do that thing or use that feature, your content's probably not going to get pushed out, because he just told you this is what we're doing. So you do have to have a certain amount of flexibility, like this brother said, in how you create your content, how you're pushing it out there, what types of things you're posting about in the first place. And it's not necessarily, you kind of have to be, I won't say a slave to the algorithm, but but you can't complain about the algorithm if you're not crafting content that works with what's happening in the algorithm at any given point in time. You can't be mad about that.
But I guess the issue that I would have with the sentiment, not necessarily the comment itself, the algorithm, let's talk about the algorithm, is people who are trying to build a business or trying to build a platform or what have you, they're going to primarily they're going to focus on the things that they need to do, the boxes they need to check off the list in order for the content that they want to create to do well on the platform, right? But what a lot of creators get into creation for is, I have this dope idea, or I have this dope personality, or I have this dope niche that I want to create content around. So they come into it, okay, what is this content, this niche, this thing, what does well for me to create content? So they create that content, but then also they're like, all right, well, what does well on the platform? It's got to be this, it's got to be this, it's got to be this, it's got to be that, this way versus this way, this resolution, these tags, post at this time of day,
right,
for this long, and it's got to have captions, and it's got to have the little bubble, and it's got to, and by the time it's like, get it.
Like, I just wanted to post some pictures about my cat, and now I
do
can't
it.
do that.
Yeah.
Listen, I get it,
Yeah,
but
and I guess it's my point was that I could see how a creator would have to struggle just to post content, because it went from it, which again is business, facts over feelings, I get it, but it went from, all right, let me contribute to something that I think is cool, that I think a lot of people will take advantage of and gets me paid, to what does the algorithm like? And then you kind of go to catering towards that first, and then it turns into a job,
right,
because you're now working for the algorithm. So I think when he says that, I think automatically puts a taste in people's mouth, because they're like, hell, I'm already then switched up my content 3 or 4 or 5 times, because now the algorithm says this is not what I got into it for. I got into it to post funny pictures of my cats. And now I can't even do that, because the algorithm is telling me nobody likes cats anymore. It's different for the algorithm to say, maybe you should post cats like this, or post cats during the day versus at night. Algorithm saying reality TV, for example, is what's popping. So now I'm like, all right, well, I didn't already quit my job, like I said before. So I need to cater to the algorithm. And I think that's why a lot of creators are kind of pushing back on that sentiment, because it's like, I didn't get into it for the algorithm.
So to be fair to Mr. Chikumbu, a direct quote from him is that when people talk about why can't I just post my pictures anymore, why do I need to push for content, long form content, is because that's what people are enjoying. That's what people are watching. And that is very true, Steph. That's what what you started off with, is that, that there is part of this, that if you are trying to create content and use an algorithm for reach, you have to play to what the algorithm is putting in front of people to reach the people you're trying to get. That is absolutely true. And that's what he's saying. And I don't want to take that out of context, because that is the context of what he's saying this. I do just have to say, though, but you work for Tubi. So you're not going to talk against what your company does. And Steph, you and I had a conversation in our after party last week where we kind of talked about this. And it's like, play that game, play this algorithm game. You have to do that, but also make sure you're getting people's email address so that when the algorithm
That's it.
changes, you have another way that you can contact them. If folks are saying, hey, I like your content, why am I seeing it anymore? Because Tubi or or Facebook or Instagram or TikTok or whomever, they may have decided that even though you've got people who are watching that, it ain't enough people who are watching it. So we're going to go put this content in front of the most people who are watching something different, and you can change and get with that program, or you can just not be seen. And so that's why I think that, there's more to this than just saying, be flexible, get with the program.
Right.
It is be flexible, get with the program, but also make sure that you got another program called email list that you can get your content in front of people directly.
Well, and that and I think too, there's the consistency piece in here too, right? Because I think about some of the accounts I follow. They are extremely niche. Like there's this one woman who moves this little, I guess she might be a puppeteer. I don't know if she claims that title, but she moves this little stuffed dog to music. Like she makes it dance. And when I tell you this woman has hundreds of thousands of followers, all of her posts get like, but I'm sure there's millions of people that have no idea who this person is. So you have to, I don't want anybody to listen to this and think I'm saying you gotta cave to whatever the algorithm is doing and possibly not do stuff you're passionate about because you're trying to, make money and go viral and all of that. I think there's plenty of very unique and very niche accounts on all of these platforms that are doing very well because they've been consistent. They found their audience. Maybe you don't become a millionaire necessarily just off of views, but you develop an audience that you can leverage to flip for other stuff. You know what I mean? Maybe you start selling merch, or maybe you start like whatever that looks like. You have to, it still boils down to
Play the game.
Play the game, but approach it like a business. I just think people have this notion in their heads that if you build it, they will come or whatever. And if I just put out whatever, it's going to happen for me. And I just don't think that that's a realistic thing. And I don't think you can always necessarily blame the algorithm if your shit ain't popping. Sometimes your shit just ain't popping. You know what I mean?
That's true too.
Or sometimes you just haven't found your audience yet because you haven't posted enough, or you haven't done it for long enough, or you haven't been consistent. Like there's something to be said for, maybe you game the algorithm at first by posting as often as it says you should post until you build that audience, until you find that audience. So there's just so many different things that go into it that I do feel like blaming the algorithm can be a little bit lazy at times.
Especially if you got whack content.
Especially if you got whack content. And a lot of this
There's
stuff out
always that.
here ain't, it's just not good content. So, we gotta just be careful with that whole blaming the algorithm thing, because sometimes that can just be a little bit lazy.
Or bring back just sharing content. Everybody's like, oh, business.
Right.
It's like, everything is gotta be, but that's personal
Everything
stuff.
ain't gotta be monetized either. But I get it. I mean, you could just go get a job. Like, you know what I mean? Like we don't all have to be content creator. Like if everybody's a content creator, like what are we doing? You know what I mean? Like I just
everybody is a content creator now.
and you can't be. And people who have jobs create
Mhm.
content at their jobs and the day in the life and the vlogs
and get fired because they creating content on their job.
Is that I used to think that maybe that's generational, because folks who grew up in a time where they just had screens in front of them all the time. But there's folks our age getting let go from their job. It's like, wait a minute, you was born in the early 70s.
You knew better.
You knew better than to put that on the internet and think you was going to keep your job.
Listen, people get fired for jobs for all kinds of stupid reasons. I don't think getting fired because you posting content on your job is like something like spectacular. I've seen people get fired for way less.
That is true.
Yeah. I just think, just at the end of the day with this, I think a lot of people approach content creation as just a way, like almost like a get rich quick kind of scheme.
It is
And
not.
it's
It
not.
is
And
not.
those are the
It,
people who follow that algorithm and get
and
bogged
those are the
down.
people that complain about the algorithm, because it's
Mhm.
just like the people that have who understand this process. And and you're looking at people, oh, they got 1 million followers, they got most of the people, if they're not a celebrity, have been doing this for a decade, you know what I mean, or years, multiple years, and have built their following from the scratch, from the ground up. They might still look young, and you're like, how's this young person got all these followers? Or some of them have done some crazy stuff to go viral a couple times and build. But the majority of people who do this have been doing it for years. They understand that it is a long game that they are playing. They've gone the ups and downs of the algorithm and the changes to the platforms and all this different stuff, but they understand what that is. And I just think a lot of the people complaining, thought they were going to make a video, go viral once, and become a millionaire, and that's
Mhm.
just not how this business
Mm-mm.
works.
You
It's
can't
just
tell
not how
them.
this
You can't
business
tell them
works.
no. You can't tell them nothing different though.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the
No.
problem. And I think that's probably what this guy was a little bit frustrated about, because everybody's just sitting here bitching and moaning about the algorithm. And it's like, it ain't even about the algorithm.
Yeah, but also shoot the messenger, because like Rob said, you work at Tubi, so I can understand how you want to side with the algorithm. Relax, relax.
So, Steph, I didn't even know this was going on. You stuck this in here right before we locked out our rundown for today's episode. But you asked, will we be watching the TikTok Awards? I didn't even know that there was a TikTok Award. So tell us what's going on with that.
So I just happened to see this, today, and I was like, okay, and I really, was interested in how many creators of color were being nominated. So there will be a TikTok Awards 2025, and it is happening. It's actually going to be a real award show. So it's going to be
Mm-hmm.
at the Hollywood Palladium in Los Angeles on Thursday, December 18th. It is going to stream live on TikTok, and surprisingly enough, Tubi.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, Tubi is a partner here. We don't have any stake in Tubi, folks, so don't come for us. But 5 p.m. Pacific will be all the get readies with me. 6 p.m. Pacific on TikTok and Tubi. So that would be 9 p.m. Eastern. Tubi is the official streaming partner of the TikTok Awards 2025. So it's going to be a full on, Emmys, Oscar level type of
Yes,
thing.
this is the whole thing.
It's a whole thing. So we have creator of the year, video of the year, rising star of the year, breakthrough artist of the year, storyteller of the year, muse of the year, TikTok for Good award, my show was on award, MVP of the year, OK Slay award, that's for fashion and beauty, I was today years old award for learning, immediately added to cart award, CapCut creator of the year, and the TikTok live creator of the year. So in all of those categories, there's 14 categories so far. They said they may be adding more, but so far they've announced 14 categories. There are 5 nominees per category. So that's about 70 total nominees. Out of the 70, there are 20 creators of color, which was not a bad. It was like almost 30% of the total of nominees are creators of color. So I was like, I mean, considering Black folks are only 12%, and I
13.
guess this is
Yeah.
more than just, it appears, I won't say, actually this is just the United States, because it's hashtag TikTok Awards US. So
Mm-hmm.
it appears that this is just United States based creators. So I mean, we could always have more, but I actually wasn't too mad about the fact that there were 20 out of 70 creators of color nominated for these awards. So
Yeah, and then just with the creator of the year, 2 of the 5
yeah,
are, and one of them I've heard of. I've heard of Keith Lee.
yeah,
Now I can't say I've heard of anyone else on this list, nor have I heard of the sister on the list. But I'm not a big TikTok person, so it's like I don't spend any time on TikTok. Usually the TikToks I'm watching have been grabbed by somebody else, and they're doing a reaction to him on the platforms that I do tend to frequent. So so you asked the question, will I be watching? The answer is no, I will not be watching. I will, however, go back the day after and get the recap for two reasons. I want to see what black folks on,
Right.
number one. And then number two, I want to have a gauge for what this is this year and what it is for years coming. Because, and we talked about this on multiple shows, if we do see a US TikTok, and it's still kind of in limbo. It's like I think that Scott Bessent was saying some things he probably shouldn't have been saying because China really didn't talk about this when when they had the meeting last Thursday. But we still think that there's going to be a US TikTok. I just wonder what the moderation of US TikTok is going to be compared to TikTok overall. So this is from the TikTok that we know, the one that is run out of China. Basically, this is the ByteDance TikTok that is TikTok all over the world. I want to see, what does this look like today, and then what does it look like after a US takeover of TikTok?
Mhm.
Because my thoughts on this are that it may not be state-run media, but it awfully feels a lot like state-run media, the way that they're talking about it, who's behind it. You can say that there are, the US president is behind it, and there are oligarchs who are friendly with the president who are behind this. And that just doesn't make me feel good about a US TikTok. So that's the reason I'm going to watch, because I just want to memorialize here's who won. Let's go look and see who is even nominated next year, because it could be a very, very different look next year than it is this year.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. And I'm assuming these are all going to be voting, because this is from TikTok's website. You can vote for your favorites in all of these categories. There's a TikTok Awards Hub in the TikTok app, where you can explore the nominees and cast your vote. The voting runs from November 18th through December 2nd. So I'm sure all of these people who are nominated will be posting about it, and other people on the app will be posting about it as well. I will probably, if I remember, I'm not going to make this like appointment viewing, but if I remember, I spend a decent amount, probably too much time, but a decent amount of time on TikTok. I'm sure if I'm on there that day on December 18th and happen to be scrolling at the time, I'll see that live pop up in my feed, and I'll probably watch. So, I mean, I'm gonna check it out. I'm gonna definitely check it out.
You know what I'm also interested to see? How is it produced? Because if it's on TikTok, it'll be vertical, right? But if it's on Tubi, it should be horizontal.
Are we assuming it's going to be on TikTok?
No, it is going to stream on TikTok and
yeah.
Tubi.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Yep. It's streaming on both. I mean, a lot of people do horizontal content on TikTok. So they may just have, turn your phone. You may have to just turn your phone sideways. Or they may just do two separate different sort of broadcasts, quote unquote, where they do one that's optimized for vertical and one that's not. So we'll see.
So yeah, there's technical bits that I am interested in. So once again, I'm not going to sit down and watch an award show. I don't sit down and watch the Oscars, so I'm not going to sit down and watch TikTok. But I will go back and look after the fact just to see, oh, this is how they actually produced it. It was produced for vertical, or it was produced for horizontal, or it was produced for both. Those kind of questions I do have. And like I said, I want to memorialize it so I can see when there is a US TikTok, because this is based off of US TikTok. Well, it's based off of US users of TikTok right now. There is no US TikTok yet, but it's assumed that there will be a US TikTok. I just want to see, what do the nominees look like next year.
So you're saying these nominees are all US people? This not global?
Yes.
No, it's just a US. Yeah, it's just US based. And it says immersive experiences in person and on TikTok. Expect unforgettable activations and creator-led moments throughout the night, bringing the For You feed to life at the Hollywood Palladium. TikTok Shop will also deliver an immersive IRL experience with interactive moments and creator-led content opportunities. So that's it. The idea that they're saying they're bringing the For You feed to life. That's an interesting statement. So it'll be very interesting to see how they pull this off between the two platforms.
But I guess ultimately my question is, no UK TikTokers are going to be nominated.
No,
I wonder what they got to say about this whole thing.
Well, there are TikTok awards in other countries. They've actually been going on for several years in other countries. This is just the first year
I'm talking
that
about
it's being done here in the United States
with the full force of TikTok behind it. This seems different.
No, they're like, this is TikTok. This is TikTok Awards US. There have been TikTok Awards other countries. So this has happened in Europe for multiple years before this year. So the US is coming late to the party. This has actually been happening for other countries where it was just content for other countries.
Yeah, this will be interesting though. Like I said, I'm a probably, like I said, if I remember, I'm not gonna set a reminder to watch it, but if I remember, I will watch it.
I will be doing something else. I can tell you
He was
right
like,
now.
I will not.
Like December 18th, I'll be doing something else.
Yeah. I'm in the middle. I'm not watching it, but I will come back the next day for the news. You know, I got to report on the news, so we got to talk about what actually happened. Like I said, I told you, I want to memorialize it. I want to see the juxtaposition of this year versus when it's truly U.S. TikTok, because I don't think it'll be the same.
It's interesting. It's funny. Like I spend quite a bit of time on TikTok, and clearly my algorithm has curated itself to my taste, because I probably, like, I didn't know most of these people who are being nominated. A lot of the creators of color are nominated in kind of the sports category, the fashion category, even that. I was just like, I don't know who any of these people are. But okay. But the woman who created Hillman Talk is in here.
Oh, okay.
That doctor, she was like an African American history professor.
Mm-hmm.
She's nominated in one of the categories, and so yeah, I think it'll be interesting.
Get ready to get your feelings hurt.
Yeah, and what's his name? You know, the guy who Jordan. He wears the glasses. He looks like Method Man, and he holds his phone up to the mirror in the bathroom always and starts
yeah,
he got nominated
he
for something. I forget which category he's in. Storyteller of the year. So yeah, between him and Keith Lee, there weren't any of my other faves in the nominees. So I'm just like,
But
yeah.
like I said, we are well represented.
Right.
In the
So
nominees. So I'm saying get ready to be
right. We'll see. Right. We'll see who actually wins. But they say it's an honor just to be nominated.
Sure, they do.
All right, y'all, we're going to get ready to get up out of here. But before we do, if you would like to support the Tech John, you can do so in a couple of ways. The way we're going to talk about today is by buying some merch. So if you were to head over to thetechjawn.com, that is thetechjawn.com/shop, you will find a bunch of stuff over there: hats, t-shirts, hoodies, aprons, mouse pads or mice pads, however you want to say that. There's a bunch of stuff over there that has our Tech John logo and mask on it. So once again, if you would like to support the show, get some merch. And if you do get some, make sure you take a picture of yourself using it or wearing it and send it to us, because we will put that on our socials. So with that being said, Tech Life Steph, tell folks how they can get at you.
You can follow me all around the web at Tech Life Steph, or check out my website at stephaniehumphrey.com and sign up for my newsletter.
And you can find me in my bathroom at Brother Tech. That's BROTHATECH.
And I am on all things at Robb Dunewood, and we're also at all things at the Tech John, the Tech JAWN. So come holler at us however you holler. And until we meet again in a week's time, peace.
Hey.